universe, say the Victor. How's everybody doing today? Amazing, I hope. Are you ready to have another palette built by your older than average YouTuber? Today we are doing this StasyAlex Exotic Birds 39 pan palette. Boy, was that extreme to put together. If you'd like to see the shades I picked, why I picked them, what the final results are, swatches, the whole 9 yards, you're in the right place. And you know what you need to do? You need to keep on watching. Okay, so now let's start looking at the shades here. So this is going to be the first and the last time I'm doing a palette this big. Oh my gosh, it took what felt like forever to find all the colors. I thought last time was tough, but man, 35 matte shades and 4 specialty shades are a lot to find going through my palettes. But let's begin. So, and again, we'll have maybe I should move this way, on the top, I will have the palette that we are comparing to, and then I will swatch at the same time. Hopefully I have enough room. And then I'll show you what one we're using. So we are doing the StasyAlex or StasyAlex Exotic Birds palette. This was the one that came in the beautiful wooden box. And here we go. So some of the shades, again, looking at pictures are really tough because sometimes it's like, well, this is close and I swatch it and it's not, or this doesn't look quite close and then I swatch it and it looks great. So the first one we've got here, this is from the BPerfect Interstellar / Carnival 5 palette. And the shade that I used for number 1 is the shade that is called Fiction, and that is this shade here. Funnily enough, I don't have tons and tons of pinks in my collection, so it was a little bit harder to try and find the right pink, but I think once swatched, it seems pretty good. But again, as always, we're just trying to help our no-buy, and then trying to see what we have in our collection to make new release palettes. So this is number 1. This is the shade Fiction, and this is from Interstellar by BPerfect, or / Carnival 5. So the second shade I found, and I think this one was a little bit one of the harder ones to find, believe it or not. I'll leave the specialty shades till the end. And it doesn't, I don't think, looks quite close in the palette, but it does pretty good when you swatch. So this is Peach Soju, and this is from the Kaleidos Power Punk palette. And this was shade number 2. I can probably try and put this as close as I can to try and give myself a little bit room here. And that was the shade that I did as number 2. It looked like a neutrally pink, I guess is kind of the best word, but there we go. Yes. So now the third shade, I've got a few from this palette. So this is a really handy palette. This is the Pastels from Beauty Bay, and this is a nice pressed pigment palette. This was, I mean, I now have a few palettes that have some pastels, but usually if I needed a pastel blending out or a lighter shade to blend out with, I've used this palette quite a bit. I mean, it doesn't look like it, but there are divots in all the colors. You can kind of maybe see that there's an impression there, but I do use this, have used this one quite often. So number 3 shade is going to be the one called First Light, and then that is that shade there. And I'm just going to grab that, and then we'll do that there. Yellows can be tough to try and find ones that are close. I think this is the closest enough. The one that's in there, I think, is a little bit lighter, I want to say. And from the swatch, looked almost like a shimmer, but it was supposed to be a matte shade. So this is First Light from the Pastels by Beauty Bay, and shade number 3. The next couple are from this palette as well. So we've got number 4 is Daze, and that's that one there. And that was the closest. I have a lot of greens, but not that many that I could find the perfect kind of greenish one. that fit this. So there are definitely some unique shades in this palette that I didn't 100% quite match up. So if you are interested in that palette and comes in stock and you have access to it, one of the reasons why I decided to pick this palette, because I know it's so hard to get stuff from Russia and Belarus at the moment, and we all know why, but here we go. This is number 4. This is the shade Daze. And I'm going to go the rows like this. What's really nice about this palette, it does have the, and I'll show it when I get, because I have a few shades from it. The Blend Buddy palette, it does have the way they do it, the lighter to dark shimmers in a separate portion. It's quite neat. I really like that. So this is number 4. And then from the same palette, number 5 is the shade Cloud, or Cloud Free it should be. Yeah, Cloud Free. And that's this shade here. And then it's nice when you can find some of the shades in the same palette. It definitely makes it a little bit easier. But as I was going around, I did find that I ended up having a little bit of issues with a few colors. So I think that's why it took me a bit longer. So there we go. So that is shade number 5, Cloud Free. So right now it's giving a nice pastel-y feel. So I think we may go back to this one again. So next up, number 6, I grabbed my Thunder palette. This is by Colored Raine. I really like this palette. If you are into moody, stormy sky colors, this is it. And the shimmers are really nice in here as well. And the shade that we picked was a Shockwave. And that is, where are we here? Right there is a Shockwaves. That's the shade we picked. And let's do that here. So like I said, the first few row or so has a very nice pastel-y vibe to it. So that is a Shockwaves by Colored Raine, and we will see this one again. So the next, now we can talk about the Blend Bunny. So I only have one Blend Bunny palette. I would definitely try more in the future. I really do like their formula, and I love how they lay out their palettes. So this is Blend Bunny Cosmetics. This is the Surge palette, and the first shade that we used from here is called Beckon. So let me try and find it here. Beckon, there we go. It's near the top. So there we go, keeping in with our pastel-y vibe. So it's kind of a pinky purple shade. And so that is Beckon. And then, like I said, this is a pretty, well, I guess we'll see once it's all done. I think it's a pretty nice, covering almost all your bases palette. So this is Beckon by Surge by Blend Bunny. And here I'll just show you how I was saying that this was very reminiscent of the Exotic Birds palette, where it has the rows via color story, lighter to darker, and then you've got the specialties. Well, there had the specialty shades on the side, we have them here, and then we had the crazy the neon shades on the bottom. But I definitely like how they basically do from lighter to darker color stories. It's easier for you to put together a look. So that, again, we used Beckon, and that was shade number 7. So shade number 8, I used this palette a few times as well. And this is from W7. This is the Mardi Gras palette. This is one you will definitely remember from the last video if you watched it, and because it is a very rainbow-y-ish. And then we use the shade called Jammin, and that is that shade right here. This one was a hard one to find as well to totally match up, because it was a very interesting pink shade that was on there, but swatched, I thought this one seemed close enough for me. So this is Jammin from the W7 Mardi Gras palette. We will come back to this one, but there's a little bit at a few points of moving around here. So next up, where did it go? I'm like, did I put it back? So this is from the Witching Hour. This is Unearthly Cosmetics. I got this when they were Alien Cosmetics, but I believe they have released this re-released it under Unearthly, and we'll probably release it again because it is a pretty stunning color story. So we went with the shade Grimoire, which is this orangey shade. And again, it was quite the interesting orange in this StasyAlex palette, but this one I think was possibly the closest, and that is there. So that is Grimoire from the Witching Hour palette, Unearthly Cosmetics. I really love this palette. This was the first Unearthly palette I ever got. So it's Witching Hour. I don't think we come back to this one. So the next up here is, that was shade number 9. So now we're going to shade number 10. I got the shade Maasai or Maasai, I'm not quite sure. This is from Juvias Place. This is the Tribe palette. I adore this palette. I definitely should use it more. And anyways, that was this one here. It's a yellow, yet a green yellow. And I thought that one seemed to be the closest one to the color story that was in the bird palette, the exotic bird palette. And there we go. And then again, that is Maasai from the Tribe Juvias Place. I really do enjoy this palette. All right, so speaking of palettes that I enjoy, our next one comes from a favorite, I think, of a lot of people. This is from Beaute. This is the Oceanic palette. This color story is thebomb.com. Probably one of the favorite color stories of palettes that I have. And the shade that we used for number 11 is Algae, which is this beautiful green down here. This was another one that I had a little bit of issue finding one that I think that is exact, but I think this will be close enough and give us the feel that we want. This one is probably a little bit brighter, but oh, I love this palette. Oh my gosh, it is so good. This is the old Juvias Place Beaute formula. I really do like this one a lot. So this is Algae for shade number 11. I'm gonna see if I can squish one or two more shades on this arm. I may have to then stop in between, take a photo, and restart because I don't know if I have enough space, unless I could do the other side. Maybe I could do the other side. Maybe I can go like that and like that. Ah, that's a thought. There we go. And that way I can keep them. So the next thing here is shade number 12. So for shade number 12, this is from Rude Cosmetics. They had the Spellbook collection. I got 2 of them. I got the one in Love and I got the one in Passion, and we'll be looking at shades from them. This is a really nice, affordable brand. They do usually have a glitter inside, which I'm normally not a glitter fan, but these ones are really nice, happily enough. So we use the shade called Spiritual for shade number 12, and that is that one right there. And then we're just going to go grab some on our finger here. This is such a pretty color, and we're going to put that right here. So we're getting some pastels, a little bit of neon, and then now we're going to go into some darker shades. So that is Spiritual. I think the one listed on the palette is a little bit more blue leaning than this one is, but again, this was the closest that I had in my collection. So that was Spiritual from the Love palette from Rude Cosmetics. Next up, we're back to my favorite again. This is the Beaute again, and then from this one we use the shade Bali for number 13. So Bali is this shade here. I think this one is quite close to what we were looking at in the palette. I do highly recommend this palette if you're looking for a great palette. I like both formulas, new and old, so if this is still on sale for super cheap, get the old, but if you, usually the other ones are on sale too, so if they have a good sale, get the new formula. So that was Beaute, that was Bali, and that was shade number 13. So now for shade 14, we are back to the Pastel palette. Pastel palette, where did you go? There we go. So we are back to the Pastel palette, and we're going to be using the shade Daydream. And this was the one, so this one too, I had to check around. I do have a fair share of purples. I'm going to start on this side. A fair share of purples, but it was really hard to find quite the right undertone. Looking at the photo, it may not be quite as close, but when I swatched, I thought, you know what, this could be it. So again, this is shade number 14, and that's Daydream, and then I had that from the Pastel palette. I believe you can still get this at Beauty Bay. I don't think they've ever discontinued it. So if you're looking for especially if you don't use a lot of pastels, this is a very affordable, not inaffordable, affordable. I think it was £7 maybe. Yeah, I really like this one. So that was Daydream from the Pastel palette from Beauty Bay. So I think that might be it from that one. So now we are going to go back again to our BPerfect. And here we go. And then we are going to go into the shade called Comet for number 15. I don't have a lot of pinks, so it was a little bit hard to try and find the right kind of pinkish, reddish type shade, but I think this one will do the trick. So this is the shade Comet. This one is a little bit darker, I think, or maybe a little bit more redder. I'm not really good with undertones, as you can tell, but I thought this one was pretty close. And like I said, I don't have tons of pinks in my collection because that's a color that I am fighting with a lot. So anyways, that is Comet from the Interstellar BPerfect. Now next, number 16. This one, I couldn't tell from the swatches if it was supposed to read more pink or more red. So this was the closest that I thought in between. This was from the Halloween collection. So this was the Thirst palette. And this is the shade Lethal. And that is that shade here. Oh, I love these big pans. And you will have seen this one before because I believe I used one of the shades out of this, either in the last palette or the palette before. But there we go. Because on the photo, it does, and which will of course I have up here, it did seem to have like an orangey reddish kind of feel to it. And I thought this one was pretty close. So that is Lethal from the Thirst palette from Unearthly Cosmetics. And again, that was number 16. So we're now on to number 17, and we are back to the Kaleidos Flower Punk palette. And it is the shade I am using or picking the shade Golden Age, and Golden Age is, where are we here? Right here. So it's kind of that mustardy, yellowy color. And I think this one's really, really nice. I love mustardy colors. I do have them on a few other palettes. I don't think I went through every single palette I had, but pretty much 3/4 of them at least. So that is Golden Age, number 17 from the Power Punk. And then let's pop this lid back on. This is a fun palette. I do like this grungy color. So next we are with colored Raine. We'll have seen this one in a palette creation or two, because this is a nice rainbow-ish type palette. And for number 18, we're using the shade Level Up from the Vivid Pigment palette, and Level Up is, where are we here? Right there is this pretty green shade here. Clean off my fingers here a little bit. So there we go, and it is this beautiful green shade here. I'm gonna give it again one more swipe because my finger was a bit wet. So Level Up, and that was number 18, and that's using the Colored Raine Vivid Pigment and Shadows palette. So we are just over halfway. So number 19, we are back to Rude Cosmetics, and this is from the Love palette. That's this one here, and this is the shade Dark Magic, and it is this shade here. So it's kind of this tealy shade. And then yeah, I've got these couple palettes. I've got 3 palettes from them and a blush. I really do like this brand. I would like to buy some more in the future. They're, again, a very nice affordable brand from the US. And this is number 19, and this is Dark Magic. So now we're going to flip back to Colored Raine again and the Vivid Pigment palette. And we're going to use the shade Neo Blue, and that is shade 20. And let's grab a finger and let's go here. There we go. That's So number 20, Neo. Oh, and we are still here in the same palette. And then we also went into the shade of Vibes with a Z. So that is that shade there. So that is number 21. And there we go. I'm not the best swatcher, but there we go. That is number 21 Vibes from Colored Raine. So now the next couple, we are going to go back into our W7 palette. Okay, I always have this habit of trying to shut off my computer. Okay, so this is again from W7, the Mardi Gras palette, and number 22 is the shade Bacchus, and here we go. It is kind of like a wine-ish color. So that's what we had for number 22. I had a couple shades that I thought could work, but again, I was just trying to limit how many palettes, and it was basically the same shade. So there we go. We're definitely getting a little bit more darker here. So again, that was Bacchus. So now we're gonna work on this hand. So for shade, look at that. I tell you, it's going to be very rainbowy. So for number 23, we're going into the shade Invitation. Oh, I went into the wrong side. We're on this hand now. All right, so this is Invitation. And I'll just swap that there. And that is a also pink with a little bit of, where are we going here? Yeah, just lighter shade than this one maybe. But anyways, that was really pretty. So that is Invitation from the W7 palette and number 23. Alrighty, so we're gonna go back to one other one, and then we're gonna have a new palette to look at. So we're gonna go back into the Blend Bunny Surge palette. We've already forgotten. So we are taking the shade Alive. And then Alive is right there. It's that beautiful green shade there. Starting to get a little grungy there. And then that's it there. So that's the shade Alive. And there we go. Yes, number 24, Blend Bunny palette. And then shade number 5, we are going to go into Sugar Drizzle Polish. This is a brand that I really like. They have their brushes on sale right now, which I really, really like. And they come in this nice makeup bag. So anyways, this is their Butterfly palette. This one, I believe, was I guess one of the two of these. Yes, this was a gift. And this is, yes, number 25, and we use the shade Magical. Magical is right in the center here, is this darker green here. And we're going to go like so. And there we go. So this is a nice dark green. These two would go really nice together. Trying not to rub my arms against my shirt so I can take photos later. So if I'm doing weird arm movements, that's where we are. So that was number 25, Magical from the Butterfly palette from Sugar Drizzle Polish. We will see more from them shortly. So next we are back into Ace Beaute. Lucky I kept this one close. Again, it's the Oceanic palette. And I do have more than the Oceanic palette. I think I have about 6 Ace Beaute palettes. So we're going to be using the shade Pacific. And it is this green with blue. Oops, make sure I'm getting from the right side here. And then we're just going to pop that there. And then it's that beautiful, the swatches looks weird. It's the hairy arms. There we go. So that is the shade Pacific from Ace Beaute. Now we're going to go back again to this other palette that I really like. And that again is from Colored Raine, the Thunder palette. So for number 27, we are going to go with Gray Skies. And this one looked really close in comparing it to the two palettes, and then I think the two swatches looked pretty good. I will at some point have some of the swatches up as well that they showed. Well, not really, well, I guess swatches, but it was, you know, using one of the nice, I have some of them, the nice stencils. But anyway, so this is Gray Skies from the Thunder from Colored Raine. I got this in a mystery box, but it is one that you can get. When they do mystery boxes, they usually have new release items in them, so that is always exciting. So now we're back to number 28, and we are back with some Rude Cosmetics, but we're going to dip into the other palette, which was the Passion palette, and we are doing the shade Amethyst. So Amethyst, where are we here? Yes, right there. It's this beautiful purpley shade there. And oh, here's a clean finger. And then, which I think would go really nice with the Gray Skies there. So there we go. Doo-doot. So that's the shade Amethyst, and that was 28, and that was from Rude Cosmetics from their Spell Book collection, which is still available. I saw them post about it a little while ago. And now we're going to do some more Blend Bunny Surge palette, and there's going to be 2 shades in a row here. It's going to be shades 29 and 30. Number 20 is Covet. I'm trying to remember. There we are. There is Covet. It is this dark purplish shade. Let's clean our finger off here. And then dry our finger. Let's be smart this time. Work smarter, not harder. Okay, and there we go. This is the shade Covet. And this is really beautiful. I'll try to get a couple more swatches on this arm. So this is Covet from the Surge palette. And then next for number 30 is the shade Taboo, which is right beside it. So it's this one here. And this one's like I guess like a wine color as well. Yeah, like a wine, dried blood kind of shade. I like that. It's really pretty. Taboo. Well, one thing has definitely been showing that I have way too many palettes and I really need to play with them. When I was looking at some other palettes, which I'm not using here for colors, I'm just like, oh my god, so beautiful, so beautiful. But yet here we are, always buying shit. Okay, so this is Taboo from the Surge palette. Blend Bunny. And now we're going to jump back to Kaleidos. We've been doing some good with this Kaleidos palette. This one's definitely within the color story. So this is, oh, and we're getting near the end. So this is for shade number 31, and it is the shade Earthship. And it is this grungy green right there. And I have some room still. Let me just get a good finger though. All right. Like so. There we go. There is Earthship for number 31. All right, look at that. 3 arms down. All right, so next up, we are back to BPerfect. Oh, we're going to waffle between a couple of our favorites here. So for shade number 32, it is the shade Meteor from the Interstellar palette. And it is almost right in the middle of the palette. It is this shade here. I really, really love that shade there. Wow, so gorgeous. All right, so we're gonna go into Meteor. Might as well start this other arm here. Oh, what a gorgeous green shade. Ay, ay, ay. That is beautiful. And even swatches really good on, well, the non-hairy side of the arm. Hence why these swatches are a little weird. But here we are. Meteor in number 32, and I think that is it for the BPerfect for this go round. Now we're going to do number 33, and it is again from the Surge palette. And I had noticed right away when I looked at this palette that that I knew that this palette would have a lot of colors that were in this StasyAlex palette. So this is, we're using the shade Lush, and then Lush is right here, and it's this even darker green. So we're gonna go into there. Oh, look at that, just epically. I mean, it doesn't look like the colors don't, like there's a black in this palette, but some of them go so dark, looks like they would go so dark. that you don't need the black. So you've got enough shades to lighten and darken in, I think. Woot woot. And next, and then for, oh no, I was wrong about the BPerfect. There will be one more. So now we're going to go into Ace Beaute again for shade number 34, and it is going to be the shade Lagoon, which is, where are we here? Lagoon, this beautiful, beautiful dark blue. And let's go into there. And then, yeah, see, so you can definitely go for from real darks, light shades to really dark. You are covering a lot with that palette. So that is the shade Lagoon. And then from the last of the regular shades, we are back to BPerfect, and we're using the shade Spacewalk. And Spacewalk, where are we? It is from this palette, isn't it? Hold on, I'm getting there. There we go. I kept looking in the middle. There we go. It's Spacewalk. I think I do have some darker purples, but I couldn't quite find the one I liked. So I thought this would be pretty dark. Yes. So I think that goes pretty good with shade 35 Spacewalk. So now they had 4 specialty shades. I would say 3 of them, I have some relatively pretty close looking shades. And one of them, because it's not a color that I would have normally gravitated to buy from, I just found one that was within the realm and I liked it. So for the first shade I picked from this butterfly palette, I picked the shade Emotions. So this one has a really, so when I pop the photo up later, I took it in 2 different angles to show, because sometimes it looks more blue, and there we go, then you can see the purple. So it goes from a blue to purple, and they do have one of their duochromes. It does do that. So I picked that as the first, and it's the shade Flawed. So beautiful. Wait till you see. I'm just gonna give it one more. And that's it there. And it, like I said, it's so hard to get me to show the shift, but there you go. You can see a little bit of blue. Definitely does purple, and it would definitely look really good using those 2 other shades. So that is from Sugar Drizzle Polish, and it again is from the Butterfly palette. It is the shade Flawed. So the second one, maybe I put these in the wrong order. I think I might have put these in the wrong order. Yes, because I think the one that I have second should have been the first one. But anyway, so this is one. So they had 2 bluish ones that looked to go from blue to purple. And they had this bronzy one, which I don't have anything really like it. And then they had a green one. So I think I might have done these in a slightly wrong order. So going back into Sugar Drizzle Polish, this is from the MILF palette. And we took, and I think this might be the shade. No. So we took the shade MILF. Man, I love frogs. Get your head out of the gutter. And we used that one there. Their shade that they had was a little bit darker. I had another shade, but it didn't shift at all. So I thought, okay, this might be the better of the 2. And this one does have a nice shift, and it is very beautiful. Like, look at it on the finger. They do some beautiful, I think this one has like a green with gold shift to it. So this is again, and you can see why I really like Sugar Drizzle Polish, and it's from the Man I Love Frogs collection. So that's 2 out of the shimmery ones in there. And then we went back into the butter. Oh, maybe that's what I did wrong. Hold on. Yes, I was supposed to show Emotions first. Okay, I did have it in the right order. I was just too excited to show this one. So this one is actually the first shimmery one in there. They had one that was really, really a bronzy shade. So yeah, so this first one is actually Flawed, and it's Emotions is the one. So my list was right. Me talking was wrong. So anyways, the one that they had was it looked like a really dark bronze, and it looked like it shifted a bronze to gold. So this was, I think, the closest one that I had. So I grabbed that one. So this technically should have been above the first shimmer, but here we are anyways. So it should have went this one, and then this one, and then that one. But there we go. So this one is a very, very intense gold. I don't think it has another shift that I can tell. But like I said, I don't really have any bronzy ones. So this was the closest that I had. And I said, let's go with it. Let's run with it. So we're good. And then the last of the specialty shades, it was one that was a blue, another blue one, but I couldn't quite tell the shift. So I thought the one that would work really well would be Sirius from the Galactic Gourmand. I love this palette so much. The duochrome multichromes in here are fantastic. So I picked the shade Sirius. This one goes from a blue to a purple as well. And like I said, I couldn't really tell from their swatch. So, but this one's so nice and soft too. So I thought this would be beautiful and go with it. I thought, well, this one shifted a little bit more green, or I would have even thought Celestial, but I thought Sirius may be the closest to kind of match what they had. So there we go. 39 shades swatched on the arm. And it took me about, well, yeah, I think it took almost as long as it did for my last one. So for the BPerfect, weirdly enough. So there we go. So I'm going to go take photos and then we'll come back and then we will do a quick look. Quick one because it was a long time going through all these. All right, we'll be back in 1 second. Thought I'd show you some swatches here. So those are the original from StasyAlex. And then here are the swatches that I did. I think I did pretty good overall. I forgot to do a collage photo, so I just popped them in this way. So there we go. These are the swatches that we did. Okay, on to putting on makeup. Okay, so I'm ready to do a look. I'm going to take my P. Louise base here with my annoying hole in the side. And I thought, since I mentioned them, we're gonna maybe use one of the shimmers. Let's use the Sugar Drizzle polish brushes. And I'll use one of these for the eye primer as well. Primed and ready. So if we use the Ace Beaute, we are definitely looking at a blue or green look. The Kaleidos Flower Punk, same thing too. We could do a grungy green look because we want to try and just use the shades that we picked. And then we used quite a few from the Surge. So I'm kind of in a mood for a grungy green look. So why don't we start with mixing Blend Bunny and Kaleidos. And if we want a little brightness, we can take from here, like a brightness in mattes, and then we'll take one of the shimmers from either Sugar Drizzle or Gourmand Girls. So let's quickly find what is the darkest shade we want to look at, and that is going to be from a Blend Bunny. So we are going to take the shade Lush, which was one of the shades that we picked. It took a while to wash off all my arms. And then I'm just going to take a fluffy brush because like I said, I've been liking using fluffy brushes, taking some dark corners, and if I'm not doing a winged out look, I like to do just a gentle rounded looks, and I think I might do that today. All I have left to do, because this took me a long time, I missed my call with Wilma and the gang because I needed to finish this, or at least get the filming and the color. I had all the colors picked just when the call would have started. Look how dark and amazing this is. But I was still editing the photos to put together in my list, and then of course I had to film. Then I'm going to work on my dress that I'm sewing, and then I can edit these so I can hopefully get this up for Mondays. I'm trying to do new releases on Fridays and have the palette build done for Mondays. Now, if I'm smart and if I know during the week as I'm collecting new releases which one I want to do, if I would start picking colors ahead of time, that would stop my weekend from being so blocked. But here we are. It is snowed here, so it wasn't like I was going to go out, even though it's sunny now, but there's a crap ton of snow outside. Snow in February in Vancouver. Crazy talk, but here we are. It's so funny. I went on where was I? Yeah, so I was sewing all most of yesterday. I stayed in, my cats and I snuggled, we watched a couple documentaries, and then I was like, okay, I gotta get going. And because I didn't want to make too much noise too early. And then I thought, okay, let's sew. And wow, took a long time, but I got most of it done. I just need the hem and the belt, I believe, are the final. And this is the first dress I've ever sewn, so I'm quite chuffed with myself. I think it's going to be okay. I had one little hiccup, but it was something that was easily for me to fix. So, this is the way I cut the pattern. So let's just say I had more skirt than I had top to attach. But I was able to trim off a little extra bit of skirt, and it worked out really well. So there we go. This is a beautiful dark green. I was just trying to blend that out a little bit without adding any extra. And this nice floofy brush. We're just going to do a dramatic green eye. So we had the shade Alive, which is a slightly brighter grungy green. And then we had also picked these 3 shades, which happen to be 3 of my favorite shades in this palette as well. So I think to go with the dark green, I think I'm going to go here with the Earthship shade, and I'm going to do that as the next shade, I think. And then maybe do another shade slightly brighter, and then we're going to look at what shimmer we want to use. Like I said, we just want to keep it simple but play with all the colors. In this palette, we'll pretend this is this StasyAlex palette. The Exotic Bird one definitely covers a lot of colors. They released another palette that was the more neutral version, so I guess your brown birds, I don't know. So, but I'm not as much into neutrals, but this palette, I'd still be pretty tempted if I had money to throw around to get this palette if it was easier to get at the moment. But so there we go. Place that other one. Yeah, no, I think that's right. Just to kind of make it from dark to light, and then let's blend. Like I said, we wanted to do a grungy eye, so here we are. Ooh, maybe I can use the shimmer that I'll use is that gold one, maybe? The one that I was saying I don't really have a lot of goldy shimmers. Maybe we can use that one as the shimmer on the lid. I think that would look really nice. You think? Do we think? There we go. Like I said, we're just doing a simple look, I think. So this one is pointing slightly nicely. This one is a little bit too round. So do I have one here that has an angle? It's a small brush set, so I'm not too concerned I don't have exactly what I'm looking for here, but oops, I went into the wrong color. I'm going to go back into, is it Lush from Blend Bunny, and I'm just going to try to give, not a point per se, but just a little bit to match up there, and then do the blend so that it is soft, but we're still kind of pointing our eye upward. Then we can kind of blend these colors in a little together. That's better. There we go. There we go. All right, so for the next lighter shade, I think we're going to go back to Surge, and then we're going to go into Alive, and we're going to take that one as the one we're going to do more towards the front. Ooh, a slightly smaller brush would be better. I'm going to take this flat brush here. I really like this set. I think it's $15 on sale, including the makeup bag right now. Not that it was an expensive set to begin with. I don't think it was more than $30 altogether when I got it. But I got it with the Man I Love Frogs collection. She managed to get it at the last second, so I was able to stick the two together. So that was great. Oh, I really love this Surge palette. Yeah, right? Right. Okay. Now, I'm just going to intensify using the shade from, so the Earthship one, and just intensify up here just a little bit. Oh my goodness, baby. Oh my goodness. I swear the older she gets, the more chatty she gets. Yeah, I'm talking about you. All right, so there we go. So for the bottom, I'm just going to repeat these shades. So we're gonna go from Lush to Earthship to Alive, and then we'll play with a little bit of shimmer. And then we can finish our makeup and then come back and have the last quick, there we go, right? Nice, quick, easy, grungy look. Okay, so now let's look at our shimmer options. Pop our lid back on. I like how it's magnetic. It does have quite the pull on it, so it does stay on. I was kind of worried about that when I got it, but no need to worry. So I was thinking, I think it was in this palette. I can't remember what palette it was in. Nope, this one. So I think blue is out of the picture. So sorry, Galactic Gourmand. You know I love you. So we have, I was thinking we should use Emotion. I mean, the Flawed is blue to purple, and then from the MILF palette, the shade, oh, we could have used this one as well. This one has a bit of green to gold, or did we want to use gold? Actually, let's use this one. Why not? It's a big one. Ooh, let's use the big one. And then we've got a little bit of spray, and then we're going to go into Man I Love Frogs palette in the Man I Love Frog shade. And then, oh, wait. Sugar Drizzle Polish, and they have so many new ones. They had a few new ones come out that I want so bad, but that. I mean, life would be easier if you could just stick to one brand, wouldn't it? But I have a few that I liked. I'm thinking of doing a review of all my favorite brands and then trying to rank them. I do a few looks with each brand and then try to figure out who truly is my favorite brand. But now when I'm looking at this, hey Sugar Drizzle, how are you? So maybe, I was thinking, we do need an inner eye color. So if we either want to use a little bit of that gold, or did we want to go back into Kaleidos and use a little bit of that shade there and do a matte inner corner? Maybe let's try a matte inner corner. Hi, honey, mommy's almost finished. All right, so I'm gonna try a matte inner corner. So we go into the shade Golden Age, and if we change our mind, we can still put some shimmer on top. But I thought let's just quickly, because sometimes I really like a matte inner corner. Yeah, I think I like that. I think it's good. Okay, so I'm gonna go and finish off my base, and then I'll come back, and then we can have our final chat of what we thought of the palette, the build, would I still get it, etc. Though I may have talked about it already, but here we go. Okay, so we're back. Here's our final look. I just did a light base, a little bit of green lippy. This is from Trixie Cosmetics. It was one that she released near or just after Halloween. This is just a lip gloss. I thought it would just go to finish off a green look. I am in love with this green look, especially the Sugar Drizzle Polish shimmer. I mean, look at it. It's stunning. And the Blend Bunny and the Kaleidos shadows are perfect as well. They always are. But here we go. So that was my build of 39 shades. So 35 mattes, 4 specialty shades of the StasyAlex Exotic Birds palette. And I think I did an okay job picking out the colors. And then for the eye look, of course, I went down towards the more bottom end of the palette. Yeah, I will, of course, have some photos here of my completed palette and a comparison of the two palettes together from top to bottom. And you can kind of see if you think that they're relatively close. How the the shades line up in columns are slightly different than the palette because of the software I use to the photo software I use to put together, and I kept the fancy shades near to the bottom because I had limited amounts of grid patterns that I could use. So, but I think you can kind of see, may have to shift an eye this way, but you can kind of see how they look to see if I've gotten it pretty close. Let me know on the bottom. But man, I don't think I'll ever do a palette that big again unless it's something really, really special. I think you want to keep it to 20, 20 and under. That was a lot of work. But this is a beautiful palette. Again, if I had the money to burn and I could get it easily enough, I think I would still buy this palette. I just love the way it's laid out. I like the color story. There's darks, there's mids, there's, you know, pastel-y shades. Like it's really, really nice, and it covers a lot of my favorite colors with the green, purples, blues, a touch of yellow, touch of orange. Trying to figure out the pinks. The greens I kind of got down, but yeah, I think this is a great palette. And yeah, if I wasn't on a no buy, and like I said, I had money because it is quite the pricey palette, it would just, like if I got a bonus or won the lotto, you know, that sort of thing, I would have probably bought it. Or if I didn't buy a lot, or if I decided that, you know, next year I was only going to buy one palette and that was going to be my palette for the year, something like that would be a good palette because it's pretty encompassing. Okay, I thought I would show you side by side the comparisons. They're not going to match up exactly line for line because I moved the shimmer shades on mine to the bottom because of the editing software I have. But I think overall, I think I did pretty good. I think you can kind of see where I hit or where I didn't. Yeah, I like it. So if you liked this video, please give it a like, comment, and like, comment, and subscribe, and maybe even hit that notification bell. If not, that's okay. We can still be friends. We can still build mega palettes together. As always, behave, make good choices, and we will talk to you soon. Okay, bye-bye.